is Dallas in 1978 or 9. I've mentioned this already, but this is a view of the downtown of Dallas from opposite angles. So this is the back of that, and vice versa. That blue building is an insurance building which was in construction at the start of the show. So that you can get an idea. This is a rapidly developing downtown. Still has its roots in the 50s and 40s for construction. Has not yet been overrun by the later construction of the 80s and 90s. So it's just, that building is kind of like the first dart thrown of the new kind of construction. So let's pass that around to get an idea. You can see that it's largely in a flat area. Now, excuse me. I think everyone here is aware that the first underground oil was discovered in Texas roughly at the beginning of the 20th century, and that the land had been owned in a very strange set of layers, from Spanish land to Texan land to Texas as part of the United States land. And therefore the property rights and everything are under constant revision and lawsuit back and forth. Not to mention people who were there before the Spaniards. So the issue here is that whoever actually was controlling that land laid claim to the oil. And you suddenly had a source of wealth in the United States that had nothing to do with Northeastern commerce. So effectively, a strange instant gentry appeared. And here, the oldest people actually were children during that time, or their parents were young. It's just before they were born. So this is kind of the very first era of people who were born into this. But the older ones remember when riding horses was more important, or have been told stories of that very close to their families. So here, oh man, what else? I mentioned something or alluded to something a minute ago. Texas declared its independence from Mexico in the middle of the 19th century, because Mexico, having become independent from Spain, freed the slaves, had universal emancipation. The people in the Texan region were slaveholders, and they declared their independence from Mexico and strengthened their ties across the eastern border to the United States as it stood at that time. And then in the Civil War, Texas became a part of the United States in support of the slaveholding states in the South. So Texas has its own constitution, which it has never gone away. And this is sort of historically why Texans actually do consider themselves their own country. And it's a lot like Bavaria in Germany, and a couple of other similar states scattered around the world where there's kind of a pseudo country in there that kind of throws the politics off kilter from all the interactions of all the other ones. So here we have one such gentry family. And they are also represented by this family chart. So we can take a quick look around. I'll pass this way and this that way. Now, people who have seen the show, I have a special warning for you. The game started to be created during the first season. It was published in 1982 after some delay. So that means that we are really working only with the very beginning content. And there's another thing. So I really don't care about any of the franchise as such, or about the developments of the characters as revealed or changed by the show. There's something else I have to say about that, but I'm going to just wait a little bit. What we have here, if you can keep passing those around, you guys know this, right? So yeah, if you have seen that chart, you have seen that there are two grandparents. They're the Ewings. And we have Jock and Ellie Ewing. And they are in their 60s or close to it. And they are they are sort of original oil Texans. Their family was in on it from the beginning. And so the grandparents are here. And they have three sons who would be here and here, and then this guy who is not pictured because he is not in the show. That person's daughter is in the show. She has been raised by the grandparents. So in many ways, even though she is their niece, she's like a very much younger sister to the two sons. And the two sons that we know are both married. There's also a fellow who is associated with the ranch owned by the Ewings, who is so close to the family he might as well be his son. And he is the same age. He's in the age range of the sons. So we have Jock and Ellie, the patriarch and matriarch. We have JR and Bobby, the two sons. Their two wives, respectively, Sue Ellen, former beauty pageant winner, and Pamela Ewing. Now, Pam comes from a family that the Ewings had crushed in their business dealings over the decades. So Pam getting married to Bobby, which nobody knew about until they did it, was a big shock to everyone. So everyone is still kind of reeling about what is a Barnes doing in this family. But Bobby and Pam seem to take it seriously. However, Cliff Barnes, Pam's brother, hates the Ewings and has become a social crusader against all of the various exploitation and injustice, and would really like to see every one of them on the street with a little cup. All right, so, but he and Pam still get along pretty well. So she's still kind of in between the two. So I think that summarizes a number of the dynamics that are implied by this chart. And this is another picture that's pretty good, actually, that shows everybody but Cliff. So I will leave these out for reference if anybody needs them as we go. And so how about play? We are going to play what would be equivalent to an episode. And we are going to remember, I hope, that this game is designed so well that it will not tell you the inner motivations and life of your character. It will tell you their priorities of the moment, and we also have these tensions or dynamics available. There's another detail that I should clarify there. But they do not, but for example, what is the nature of the two married, in fact, all three married couples? Both Jock and Ellie seem to have had a little bit of a past before getting married. And so how much do they keep from each other, and is this a loving relationship or not? And that is the same for all of them. Does Pam tolerate her brother Cliff out of guilt or something? Or does she actually think that he has a point and will facilitate him a little bit? Or try to find a balance of some kind, maybe get a little justice for him? We don't know. The game does not tell us. But it is exactly those considerations that need to be powerful in play from you. So this, you really are playing the character. It's your character now. It's not the scripts. It's not mine, and it's not the shows. The game is 1982. It is right up front about that. These guys knew how to play characters. So what we will now do see who has which character. Now, one last bit of a dynamic there. There's the South Fork Ranch. South Fork is a small community outside of Dallas, and it's mostly a ranch. That's the South Fork Ranch. The Ewings, this family, rule this ranch like kings. Everybody in that whole sector of the county treats them, nobody can do enough for them. Everybody's loyal. They say yes sir, no sir. They walk in there and things get done for them, and who knew? And they still, especially the older Ewings, the Jock and Ellie, they kind of think of that as more important. They kind of have a delusion that this is their due, this is their life, this is society. Never that oil wealth thing. Well, that's just our due, right? Do you see the difference? They don't quite. So this South Fork is amazing to them. That's like a medieval feat. And then the Ewing Oil Company. Now, everybody knows that it really is very important. Without it, they have lost all of their wealth. Jock keeps talking about retiring until anything happens. JR and Bobby, in their early mid-30s and their late 20s, respectively, Jock has never really made it clear which one of them is going to become the chief executive officer of this company. And each one is attempting more or less to lay a better claim. They need to impress their father. They need to do a good job at the company. And they are very different. Bobby wants to make it completely legitimate and to completely outperform other companies and to secure good relations with all of the regulatory agencies and basically to be squeaky clean. JR, well, let's just say he doesn't. He doesn't do any of those things. So they have extremely different values, and Jock has been extremely ambiguous about what he would prefer or how this. You kind of get the idea that no, he's not going to retire. So that's a primary dynamic that's worth taking as a given. Okay, the fairest thing is just these are currently randomized anyway. They're not even in the order that they were in the book. I can pass them out, and you get who you get. So take it before you look. Or you can all fight over being JR. That seems to be kind of the choice. Now, the character JR became a breakout character and pretty much the main character of the show after a couple of seasons. We are playing out of the gate for the show. So that means that when you look at this, he is a member of an ensemble cast. By the time it was published, that's why he's grinning at you from the center there. Okay, let's go ahead and take them face down, pass them around, and then we will find out who is who.
Also, just currently mortified that I'm older than JR.
It's like these old shows.
I know. Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
It's like Cheers, right?
Which I've never seen.
Yeah. One more, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, flip them over. Everybody has their character. Okay. You can put them down. Yeah. Oh, there you are. Okay. Excellent. So now take a look at your picture, so you know who you have.
Okay.
Wait, I can't see the company.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have. I'm just.
Oh.
Shocked.
Who has red?
I'm right.
Okay, this is yours,
Yes.
and right now there's general player information, which is the same for everyone,
Yeah.
and then stuff for you alone on the other side. Don't show that.
Alright.
Who has click? Okay. The real outsider. Huh? Lucy.
Yep.
The only teen, right? The only really 70s.
Well.
The guys are pretty 70s, but she is a late teen in 1978. Right. Good. There's Pam. Pam is Bobby's wife, the Barnes, the sister of Cliff.
Yeah.
Bobby?
Yeah.
The younger. Now, whether this is an interesting question, is Bobby an actual upright citizen who actually wants to make a legitimate American business out of all of this, or is he just kind of a worm, right? Who knows? Again, that's kind of your choice. Ellie, right, who is the matriarch, and Jock, her husband, who has Jock.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Now, Sue Ellen.
Me.
Right. Oh, right next to each other. Very handy. Yes. Okay. So that is an interesting character, as I say, a former beauty pageant winner. He, of course, was a popular jockish kind of guy in high school, right, and college, and so the two of you were the perfect couple, right?
It doesn't need to live.
Yeah, and it's exactly. That seemed like the golden couple, right? Well, it has been a couple of years. And jail. So you should flip that sheet, right? Because to the general information, we are going to move to specific in a moment. That's specific to the episode. I need to look at my little sheet for setting out my cards, and we are now going to pass out some cards. Okay. We will begin with a number of cards in front of each person, either face up or face down. You will be playing these organizations and people as characters. You will say what they do. You will represent them as people walking and talking, or voices on the telephone, or anything like that. So you are playing these characters just as much as you are playing your main character. The only thing is that they will operate knowingly or unknowingly in your character's favor while you have them. Ownership of these is very dynamic in play. So these are going to pass around, right, across a lot of people. So unsurprisingly, JR, although he doesn't actually own it or have the executive position, currently the Ewing Oil Company does what JR wants. And so there are a number of others that are also, Sue Ellen is somewhere around, right? According to this, Sue Ellen currently, this is the cook at Southport Ranch.
Okay.
He knows everybody and does everything, Esteban. And at the moment, through luck or direction, he is doing what benefits Sue Ellen. I get the idea that Esteban is a bit of a football, right, around the family. So let's get some others that are sitting right out while I can see them. Now this is sort of amusing that it's face up. I don't know why, but apparently a saddlebag full of South African Krugerrands, gold bars, is somehow a saddlebag too, not a briefcase, not a vault, right? Is around. I have it. If you want it, because many of your entities are capable of doing illegal things or have privileges that other entities do not. So if you want someone arrested, you can't just say, oh, I want you arrested. You have to have an entity that can arrest. Mm-hmm. The same goes for bribes. Mm-hmm. You need to have somebody who's good at bribes. Mm-hmm. And so, and things like this give pluses, give bonuses. So there are a few things like that around.